So today we're going to be designing a brochure, a digital brochure using Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and read the spec sheets just for the sake of time. So this brochure is called Dr. Raymond. Can you guys see that? Dr. Raymond Specs Contacts Brochure. I'm going to print 20,000. There's going to be 2 pages. It's going to be 14.875 inches by 7 inches. The fold size, I left this blank on purpose because we have to figure that out, by 7. It's going to print 404, process color. Bleeds will be full. It's going to be white uncoated 80-pound cover house. InDesign CS or CC. It's going to be a 6-panel trifold. The special on panel 1, there's going to be a die cut that's 4.5 by 2.5 oval. And then there's going to be a coupon perforation on panel 4. Score all folds. Okay? Does anyone have questions? I'm sorry? It's white uncoated. Okay, remember last week when we did folding? Get out a sheet of paper, or if you have your folds from last week, pull out the trifold. If anybody wants, I got some extra graph paper. Okay. You guys know how to fold a trifold? I just love how I make a mess, and I don't clean it in, and then I get upset with myself because I made a mess. Okay. Okay, so you're going to fold this twice. Remember, it's going to fold into each other. So trifold folds like this. This is your basic, your fold brochure. It's not the ultimate brochure. This is like the Walmart of brochures. Realize you can do other types of folds. Okay? So, you watch yours. I'm so organized. Okay. So remember how we numbered everything. It opens. This is panel 1. And you open it all the way up. You have panels 2, 3, and 4. And on the back side, it's 5 and 6. So on the front of the sheet, it's 5, 6, 1, and 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm going to stop using this, and I'm going to draw on the board. Okay, is everybody cool with that? And I can't state this enough. You always do a dummy so you don't look like one. Okay? So we're going to use black for a paper. And it's 2-sided. And this is 1, this is 5, this is 6. And this is 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Now, the flat size is 14.875. And the height is 7 for both sheets because they're front and back, right? So we'll say this is the front, and this is close in front. Eraser. and this is the back. Okay? Any questions? No questions? Anyone confused? Okay. Now, the 14.875 needs to be divisible by what number? 3. What number is that?
4.958.
Okay. Were you in class last week?
No.
Okay. It's a great try. I'm proud that you tried and you had the confidence to say that answer, even though it's wrong. Technically, this brochure should be 15 inches. Okay? Does anyone remember the terminology?
No, I'm just scratching my nose.
Does anyone remember the word that I use when you shorten a panel? Yes. Creep. I always want to sing Radiohead song. I'm a creep. Okay, so creep is when you take a panel and you shorten it so that when you fold, you don't get that creasing. And it's a little bit like this technically is a creep because it's a little shorter than the other panel. So when it's folded, it's not folding into itself. It gives that little bit of extra space so that it folds flat. Okay, does it make sense? Okay. All right, so I took off already 1/8 of an inch for the creep. All right, so we're really using the number 15. What's 15 divided by 3? 5 inches, okay? So there's going to be 2 panels that equal 5 inches and 1 panel that equals what? What's this number? Is that right?
0.
No. It's 0.
0.125.
What is this number? 4. Very good. Okay? Okay. So 2 of the panels are going to be 5 inches. 1 panel is going to be 4.875. So we have to figure out which one of these panels is going to be 5, which 2 of these panels are going to be 5 inches, and what's going to be 4. Okay? If you looked at your dummy, you can get an idea of what is going to be, what panels will be the shorter panel. And you weren't here last week. Very good. So panels 5, and what's the other panel? 4. So 4 and 5, they're going to be 4.875. And this is going to be 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches, and 5 inches. Any questions? Okay. Now, we need to indicate a fold. Okay? Technically, you don't necessarily have to do this for the printer, but we're doing something simple. When you're doing something a little bit more complicated, or you want there to be no doubt about where the fold should be, you should put this in your document. Okay? Are you guys ready? A fold should be 0.5 in thickness. It should be a dotted line. And it should be 30% gray. And it should start at the bleed line and extend away from the document. If it doesn't, if it goes into the document, the printer will print it. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay, so your bleed will be here. And then here's a little different. Okay? Anything else we should know? Or that you may be concerned about? Yes.
Angela, when you say that the bleed should extend away from the document, so then does that mean that we put the dots into the bleed or into the center?
I'm sorry?
So when you said that the dot should extend away from the document, because if you put them in the document, the printer will think that's part of the document. So do the dots then go?
No. Because if the printer is off, it'll also include it's going to go outside of the bleed area. Okay? Just at the top and the bottom, unless you're doing a half fold or whatever. Okay? So, what about, I know I have it hidden. You guys aren't concerned about the perf or the die cut? You have no concerns over the die cut. You're perfectly okay with the die cut. You know where it's going, and you know what it's going to do. Okay, you should be concerned about the die cut. You should be. The die cut, you can thank my type class and the fact that I was organized this year, organized enough that I brought in some old samples. Remember that when we first did, when we read spec sheets, and like the Sherman Learning Center, that was the spec sheet for this. Okay? This has a die cut on the cover. So when you're thinking about the die cut, you have to realize where it's going, how big it's going to be, and how it affects the back side of that sheet. Okay? So it's saying that it's going to be 4.5. Remember, width is always first, by 2.5. And I already know because I've done this so many times, but that oval is going to be right here. Okay? It's going to affect panel 2. So I can't put any text in that area on panel 2. What is it going to see? What panel will it see through that die cut? 5? Did you have 3 rays? No, it's going to see 5. Okay? So it's probably going to be like a little smiley face. Or not. Okay? This is why, the guys, I'm telling you, I've been doing this stuff for years, and sometimes I get arrogant, and you guys will too, and that's okay. I got arrogant with this. Second draft, I realized there was text going over my die cut. Okay, here's a secret. You get a job in a nonprofit. No, you get a job in an association. Because when you make a mistake like that, you won't get fired. Oops, we got to print this again. If you work in a studio, more than likely they're going to tell you to leave. Unless you're that good and you have a very understanding boss. I've always, when I started working, I was making a lot of printing mistakes because I was told that the senior designer would help me, and he didn't, and the printers didn't help me, and my boss would come into my office. I'm blessed, and just laugh and go, "Oh, Angela, isn't this cute? You designed a brochure and it wasn't divisible by 4, so they just put 2 more pages in there and they're blank." I'm like, why aren't you yelling at me? You should be yelling at me. So, yeah. if work with Joanne, this woman named Joanne, I can't remember her last name, but she was very nice. I don't know, people change over time, but I'm hoping she's still a nice person. Okay? All right. So let's set this up. And guys, please know we drew this out because when you're doing this flat, it's going to be very confusing. Because a lot of people are going to want to put panel 1 here and put pant 2 and 3 and think it's a trifold, and that's not how it works. Because remember the French fold we did, and when we unfolded it, it turned out 2 panels were upside down. Okay, so you always do a dummy. All right. Okay, so let's start in InDesign. La la la. And I'm going to create a new document. Now let's think about this. How are we going to create this new document? Is it going to be 3 separate pages joined together, or is it going to be 1 big page? 2 pages, but are we going to do 3 panels for each side, or 1 sheet for each side? I'm sorry? Anyone want to disagree? You should do 6 panels? 6 individual panels. Okay, you can do the 6 individual panels, but because one is short, you're going to have to go through the extra ordeal of shortening that panel. I think it's much easier and it makes more sense to do 1 sheet like Omar is saying. Okay, so I'm going to do inches, and then my width is going to be 14.875, and my height is going to be 7 inches. Okay, I'm going to do 2 pages. I'm not going to have facing pages turned on. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, and I get why they're doing it. When you do facing pages, it had an invisible line that indicates the spine. Okay, so if you just want to do 2 pages, it does this thing. You have 1 and 2. Whereas if you didn't have it turned on, you're facing pages and you're just doing 2 sides, it just stacks it like this. So you can just scroll down instead of scrolling down and then over. Okay? And just because you guys, when you turn your homework, a lot of you are going to have facing pages. I don't take points off of that. Okay, we're going to have 2 pages. We're not going to put any columns in. Margins could be whatever you want. Make sure your bleed is 0.125. Okay, is everybody with me? Okay, I'm going to click create. Okay, so I have my 2 pages. This is what they look like. And what I like to do is I like to create a mechanical layer. Okay, so, okay, let's talk about layers in InDesign. This is what I know about my Nova students, and I'm proud of you for this, but sometimes you guys take it a little bit too far. When I teach layers in Illustrator, you guys get that concept. I don't have to teach it again. I don't have to show it again. You know how to use it. You even break the layer down and go into the sublayers, which drives me up the wall, but you do it. Okay? All right. When you're working on an InDesign document, you only need 4 layers. You do not need a layer for every element that's on the page. Okay? This is how I set up my layers. Layer 1, I always call BG for background. That's where I put solid color backgrounds, photo backgrounds, so on and so forth. Okay? And then I have a text layer. And then I have a photo/logo layer. And then I always have I put in a folio layer, and that's where I put my page numbers. I put my page numbers on my master page, and then I lock it. And I always have that at the top layer because if it is behind an image or text, it won't be seen. Okay? I'm not looking at you for any particular reason. Oh, you did that. You remember that. Okay, see, I've forgotten about that. Okay. All right. So that I always do that. But we're gonna add a fifth, and we're gonna call that a mechanical layer. Okay? I don't know if I spelled it right. We're just gonna go with it. You can laugh about that at home. She doesn't know how to spell mechanical. I got it right? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna hit okay, return. Okay, in this layer, that's where we're gonna put our crop marks. I mean our fold marks. Okay, so I'm in the mechanical layer, and okay, so we're gonna use guides. Are you guys familiar with guides? Do you know the difference between a document and a page guide? Okay, no? Okay, let's talk about that. Watch this, and then if you want to, you're going to do it. Okay, a page guide, or you create a guide by going to the ruler, either at the top or the side of your document. You click on the ruler and you drag it into the document. You see that? That's a guide. Okay? A page guide is when you click on the ruler and you bring it in within the page dimensions. Okay? And that guide goes from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. Okay? A document guide is when you click on a ruler, and you let go outside of the dimensions of the page, and it goes from the top to the bottom of the page board. Okay? I'm sorry? That's the difference. I'm sorry? No. It's just, what's nice about this, the document, is that it used to line up. They used to be butt to butt here, but now there's a little bit of space here. If you're doing facing pages, what's nice about the document guide, it goes across both pages, whereas a page document only does a page. Okay? All right. Okay, so we're here. I'm going to get rid of all of my guides. Now, I am going to set guides for my fold mark. So the first one should be 4.875. So I'm going to take a guide from the ruler, and can you see the little number as I go? It's changing. Now I can get it to where it is. That's perfect. Let go. And look up here, 4.875, and that's great. And I could try now with this. This is my second one. I gotta add 4.875 with 5, which will give me 9.875. There we go. Okay, so those are my two fold marks for page 1. For page 2, I want to do the opposite. We're going to start at 5 and then 5. Now this is another way, because sometimes you just can't get it. And a lot of you, like Dustin, she looks like she's trying to get that guide on the exact XY, whatever. I think this is what, Y? Okay. So if you click and you're dragging and you're having a hard time getting to that exact number, let go of the guide. Go up to your control panel and type in the number you want, and it'll go there. Okay? Like if you're having a day like I'm having, you might want to just punch in the number.
I thought you were going to suggest just pressing shift.
I'm sorry?
I thought you were going to suggest just pressing shift.
I don't know, you could do that. They're changing things all the time. Okay, and the next one is going to be 10. And again, I'm just going to be lazy about it and drop it on a page and type in 10. Okay, and once I have these set, I want to go to View and down to Grid and Guides And I'm going to lock guides. Do you ladies have a question? No? Okay. Okay, so we have our grids, we have our fold, we have the guides to indicate where we're going to put the folds. So let's put the folds in,
I
okay?
have a question.
Yes.
Can you do the creep for the back page?
Yes.
Both of them at 5?
4 and
Oh,
5.
sorry, because the whole page is 14.8 instead of 5. Never mind.
5 plus 5 is 10.
Yeah.
10 plus 4. No, I know, it's math. And
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Good.
That's why you do a dummy.
No.
Because it could be first thing in the morning and I can get it wrong, you know? Okay. All right. So let's zoom in. And here's my bleed line. Okay. I'm going to get my pen tool and I'm going to create, I'm going to start it at where the bleed starts and go away. Guys, please remember this. This is going on the final exam. Okay? Folds will be on the final exam. So it's a straight line. I'm going to make the stroke 0.5. It's going to be a dotted line. You see this line? That's a solid line. If I click on this, don't do Japanese dots because those are circles. You want a rectangular dotted line. Okay? And then, okay, now I want everyone's attention because this just, Adobe, this drives me up the freaking wall because you guys are going to do this and it's not how you do it. This is the color for the stroke. This is the transparency. You are not doing a transparency, you are doing a tint. Okay? So, you are going to make it 30%. So you go to this little box here, click on this, and there's the tint, and you make it 30. You do not make it 30 here. That will be wrong. Okay? You just click on this, or you can go to the swatches palette. You go to the swatches palette and change the tint there. Okay? This is what it should look like. Again, notice it's going away from the document. And you're sitting here, Angela, why are you telling us this stuff? The same thing. You keep repeating yourself over and over and over and over again. And it's working my last nerve, Angela. You need to just say it once. No, I'm going to say it as many times as I can think to say it because these are the mistakes all students make. And this is why people get C or worse in exercise 5. And you're probably like, well, why do you give it if it's such a bad? Because it's basic brochures. And everyone in the design field, you're doing print. Sometimes they'll even ask you because you're a web designer to do a brochure. And you need to know this. Plus, you guys are all here because you're here to get the print degree. So you're going to need to know this stuff. So yeah, I'm going to repeat this several times. 30% gray, dotted line, starts at the bleed and goes away. Okay? Any questions? Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn that back on. Now, this is me being a lazy designer. I'm going to select this. Oh, this is another thing. This is what I check when I do the homework. You see this is the reference? This is the reference point. You see what I'm pointing at up here? Okay. Make sure that the highlight is on one of these centers. If it's not, and you put your, if you make this 4.875, then it is off. And I take points off. So it needs to make sure your reference point is the center. Okay, it could be any center of these 3 boxes. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, Command C, and I'm going to go to the bottom. And I'm going to place it here. And when I did, it didn't put it on the 4.875. So I'm just going to delete that extra 8. And now I have 2. Okay. All right. Now, continuing to be the lazy designer that I am, or these are just some things I do that it makes me lazy, I select both and I go to object and I group them. And then I will clone it. And that second one should be at 9.875. And oops, and that should be on point with the guide. You see that? Okay, any questions? All right, I made a copy. I'm going to page 2. I'm pasting it and I'm moving it. Now this is going to be different. This is at 5. And I have it at the top and the bottom. Where's the bottom? Hello? Oh. Okay. Let's just, oops. Copy paste. And there should be 5. Let's zoom in and bring it up. And I'm going to do group, clone, and then make it 10. Okay? All right, so I have my fold marks, and they are off. They should not align because of the creep. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay. So that's that. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to put it in my folder. Oh, I already created a file. Okay. All right. I forget sometimes, guys. Let's call this Dr. Raymond brochure. That name was a little generic. Let's put 9. Let's put 10 because he's going to have a million changes. We're already going to date it for October 19th. And I'm going to click save. Okay, any questions? I'm going to open that up. I already had it laid out. I already had it laid out, Angela. Okay. So let's work. So we have the links, and we have 2 JPEGs and an EPS. So our job is to make them print ready. So I'm going to open up both JPEGs in Photoshop. And there's Dr. Specs. You do what you've been doing all semester long so far with the CMYK. And you're going to image size, making sure it's 300. And then saving it as a TIFF file. And let's name this guy. What should his name be?
Drew.
A Drew? Is it short for Andrew?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, and there's Dr. Specs, mode, CMYK, and image size is 300. That's great. And then I'm going to save as a TIFF, and I'm going to say DR spec. Now, okay, in my day, I don't know if you guys do this. I don't know if they do it now. I would always go in and give a little Rembrandt. Okay, you guys remember Rembrandt toothpaste? It was the first teeth whitening toothpaste. I worked at Drug Emporium. People used to go in and take Colgate and swap the products. So they'll get Rembrandt, which is a $9 toothpaste, for $1.99 because they put it in a Colgate box. And then someone would go home and find out that they just paid $9 for Colgate, so they bring it back to get a refund. because they didn't seal the boxes like they do now. And this was before. Okay, so people like to look their best. I normally go in. If I want to be precise, I take the pen tool and I go in, and they used to have this thing that I really like, and I got rid of it, where you could select something and see what it would look like if you added more green, or if you added blue, or if you made it darker or lighter. But they got rid of that. That's a shame. Okay, so there's the teeth. I'm going to say the path and then make it a selection. And under adjustments, I can do the levels, say go in the yellow, and I want less yellow. And cyan, make it a little less. Okay. I'm sorry? Oh, this?
The magenta.
Oh, the magenta. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to do the yellow. Okay, you want to be careful. Okay, isn't it nice? But look, it's like he needs to floss.
Yeah.
Good thing he's not a dentist. You don't want to do the Ross. Remember the episode where Ross whitened his teeth so much when they turned off the lights, you could see his teeth glowing? I watched a lot of Wendy Williams. She says, and I believe this, your teeth color should match your eye color. You know, the white of your eyes. And then last week in my web class, I took a picture of myself and showed them how to do that. It looked pretty damn good. Yeah, I thought it did. Okay, so we're gonna, just for fun, we did it. So we did it, yay. Just Dr. Spess. I want to call him Dr. Ross now. Okay, so that's that, but don't go extreme, guys. Okay, so let's talk about how to put that die on the page. And so the way it's set up is that I'm going to bring in Drew, and Drew is going to fit on this first panel. Last week I dealt with a student who didn't know how to bring in images. Do you guys know how to bring in the different ways of bringing in an image? You could just play. Okay, let's do it then. You do File, Place, and then you pick what you want, click Open, and then you either click, and then if you hold down the Shift and Command, you can resize it proportionately. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to place it, select it. I like to just map out the area that I want it to be, and then it'll create a box for it, and then I just adjust the height of the box. Another way of doing it is to create your box already, and have it selected, and then bring it in, and it should pop it in. And then this is just another level. Are you guys familiar with Bridge? Bridge is asset management. Sometimes it's really nice. Sometimes it can be really nice. a lot of times when I am designing with a lot of photos, I'll use bridge. You really? I'll use bridge over other applications. So this is also another lazy way to go about bringing in photos. This is the image I want. If I click and drag, I can bring it in and do one of the three. And another thing I like is that I can select multiples and bring them all in at the same time. And it gives you a little thumbnail, okay? All right, so this is Drew. Let's do our oval. So if I go, you can either get the frame tool or the shape tool. I'm gonna get the shape tool, ellipse tool. And I'm gonna click like I would in Illustrator when I know the dimensions. And our oval is 4.5 by 2.5. Guys, remember, width comes before height. And then click OK. And it has a black stroke around it. I need to get rid of that. I hate that about InDesign. It always defaults to have a stroke, a black stroke around it. So make sure you get rid of that, because if you don't, it's going to print. Okay? We're printing this 4-color. So should we use a 4-color to indicate the die, or should we use a spot color?
Spot.
It's a spot color. Okay. So I'm going to go in the swatches palette. And do you guys know how to pull up color? We went over that. If you get a new color swatch and we change it to, it needs to be this, don't use CMYK, use the spot color, the solid color. I'm going to go with coded. What color should we use?
Green.
I'm sorry?
Green.
Green?
I don't know.
That's good. That's a good number. So Julian said green. Greens are in the 300 neighborhood or 700. We'll go with this. And green is a great color because green is nowhere near what is going on the photo. It's different. So I am going to make the feel of this green. Okay, is everybody with me? I'm getting tired. It's been a long day. Okay, now I want to center this oval in the panel. If you guys follow any of the design blogs, this is a joke. It's normally has a Drake meme where he's like, no, and then the other one where he's like, yeah, okay. So I want this to be centered. So I'm just going to approach it in a lazy way. I'm going to adjust my photo so it is the width of the panel. I'm going to select that and the oval at the same time. I'm going to go to not layers, align. And if you don't see it here, go to Windows, and it's going to be an object and layout. And I just want to center it. I don't want to center it. I want to center it horizontally. I don't want to center it vertically. And if I click it, it'll move it over. So now it's centered. Okay? Does that make sense? Do I need to do it again? Okay, and once I've done it, I'm just going to move this over so that the bleed is still on. The bleed is on. It's on the street. No one knows the song. Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy. Watch it. It's a classic. I know, but it's a classic, guys. It's a classic. It's one of Eddie Murphy's first movies where he was like the star. Okay. I'm sorry? It's really Glenn something. Glenn Close, the heat is on. Not Glenn Close, that's the female.
Oh, I heard that.
Glenn Fry. Thank you, Scott. It's the heat is on.
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard that was done.
Okay. So now we're going to position this. The die is only going to be on one panel. You guys hear that? Because a lot of people put it on all the panels. It is only going to be on one panel. And everything's on our mechanical panel, even our photo. I don't want my photo to be on a mechanical panel. I want it to be on the background. You see this little square here? If I click that, I can move it to the panel I want, the layer I want it to be on. Okay? Did you guys know that? Well, now you know. And knowing is half the battle. Thank you. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both the image and the ellipse. And I'm going to clone it and bring it over to panel, what panel is that? 5. Okay? Now this is what we need to understand. This panel, the bleed is on the right side. And this panel, the bleed is on the left. So I'm going to line the photo so it's sitting on the edge of the panel. And I don't even need to take this and move it in. I'm just going to delete the, what is it called?
Photo.
The photo, thank you. Okay, so now we know this is going here. And then I'm going to take this, copy it, Command C, we'll go to Edit and copy it. I'm going to go to page 2, and I'm going to paste. You can paste in place if you want. Now, this is where I need to think. Think about what you're trying to do. Okay, so this panel, 5 and 1, they're the same. But the problem is, I need this to shift over 1/8 of an inch, which I guess I could do this. That makes me nervous. So I'm just going to adjust the width and this, and then align it so it's in the center. And now I know where my die is going on all 3, so I can design around that. Okay? Any questions? Is anyone confused? We're running out of time. We tend to run out of time a lot in this class. Okay. You guys ready to do the perforation? Now, printers call it a perf. Okay? I did a lot of conference programs, and in the conference programs, there will be a panel where you fill out the registration form. And there's several ways you can go about, you guys know what a perf is, perforation. If you don't, speak up. Nobody, okay, a perforation. Perforation is a dotted line, it's like a die cut. It's a dotted line so that they cut into the paper, but they're not cutting the paper. They're putting little dots in it so that you can easily tear a portion of the paper away from the main paper. You find it a lot with coupons. Okay? All right. So if it's going from the top to the bottom, you're just doing an entire panel, I just tell the printer, do a perf on panel 4. You make sure you send them a dummy. Okay? So they know. You say perf between panels 3 and 4. Okay. You can indicate it in your document, but you're going to do it a little differently than you do, say, your folds. Okay. It's going to be a straight line. It's going to start at the bleed. and it should go from bleed to bleed, and it should be a dotted line, and it should be the color that you're using for your dye. Okay, so here is my perf, and it's in green, and it should be on the mechanical layer, which it is. Okay, if I'm doing a coupon, I normally just create a box, make it a dotted line, give it my die cut color, and I normally make it 0.5 so that they can see it. And I always run it off so that sometimes you put the perfs in the middle of the page and it's hard to cut out. Okay? Any questions? Okay, excuse me, sorry. We're going to talk about the mail panel now. So, okay, you guys don't have to do this. A lot of you are sitting there watching. And that's fine. Just going to go show you guys what this looks like. Okay, so Dr. Specs can't be here, so I'll move him down. Okay, and we need to go back, and we're going to get and paste in place. Okay, so this is a problem with the die cut because we have text that's going to be cut out. Or actually, no. Page 5 is not what is going to be cut out, is what is going to be visible. So when you add this, I want to bring this down. And I definitely want to bring this down because I don't want that seen through the little peephole. And this probably should go to text, but we'll wait. And I like to line this up. And let's see, probably make it bigger and bolder. Forget about Defa. Every time I rock the mic, I left her. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to leave this like this. And then I will get rid of this. And I will get rid of this because you don't need to have it on all your panels. You just need to have it on one. So Andrew is looking up at this green orb, which says which contact lens is right for you. Okay, and then this is cut free. All right, now we all get junk mail, right? All right, so here is your mail panel. Your mail panel is always the last panel. Okay, now can we talk about mail panels? We're going to talk about mail panels. You have a question, Omar? Or you just have your hand on top of your head? Okay. So mail panels, sometimes the post office really gets on my nerves, but I got to tell you, they are so much better than FedEx, almost as good as UPS. Okay? But they have rules and regulations, and you guys should know what those are and always refer to them. Okay? Remember how I said work at an association? Okay, I'm about to tell you I think something I effed up. Okay, are you ready? All right. So there used to be 2 marketing departments. I think they got rid of one after I left, but there used to be 2. One would do conferences and meetings, and the other would do the magazine and books. Okay, and the woman who ran the magazine and the books, I don't think she cared about her budget. But the people who did the conferences, they did. Okay? So you need to be aware as a graphic designer how the post office operates, because when mail is delivered to the post office and they have to meter it and it's not done correctly, guess what happens? They fine you. Okay, and it's not like, oh, it's a $5. No, 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 no. Okay, so I designed these postcards for the magazine marketing person, and they were vertical, and they were always vertical. And then I met with the marketing person who did conferences, and I said, you want a vertical postcard? And she goes, can we do that? And I said, well, I do it all the time for the magazine marketing people. So she said, okay. So I designed a vertical postcard, and the mail panel was vertical, like what you see here. Okay? I'm sitting at my desk one afternoon, waiting to get off. It's probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I get a phone call. It's my friend. I helped her get a job there. She's the one I did. She's the marketing person at this conferences. And she got a phone, didn't say, hi, Angela, how you doing? Nothing. Her question was, Angela, why was I fined $10,000 for doing a vertical postcard? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. Because I didn't. Okay? If I was working in the studio, I would be in some major, I would have some major problem. But hopefully the studio manager would have seen that. Yeah. So then I called the other marketing manager. She goes, well, I don't know. I just pay the bill. I didn't know they fined us. Must be nice. But so that's one of my lessons that I learned with the post office. When you're going to mail something, make sure you read the fine print, because they have millions of pieces of mail going through. And the reason why they don't like the vertical, it has to be a certain width and height in order for it to go through their machines. But it goes through the machine so quickly that if it's something like this, it's more than likely to fall. And then it jams the machine. They have to stop the machine. And if it keeps doing that, they have to slow it down. And time is money. So if this takes longer to go through, they're going to charge you more money. And they're also losing money, so they're going to charge you. All right? So this is how it works. You have the logo and the guy's address. You should orient it so that it's horizontal. So you're going to have to change that, okay? Normally, I put like a Jane Doe, or I leave it blank. Leave it blank, okay? Sometimes I'll put the permit number, and that's just as easy as just creating a box and typing in US postage paid, and then maybe the company's name. And I center it, and I give it a stroke. I give the box like a half-point stroke, and then I go into text frame options, and I align vertically to the center, and then I rotate it, and I put it here. Okay, maybe stretch this out a bit. Okay, put that there. All right. This is okay. So they're a stickler about this. This is the fold. So you're going to have to get tabs put on this anyway. And they're going to want you to do 2. They may have you do 4, 2 on the sides and 2 at the top here. But realize that the folded bottom is what's going through the machine's feeder. So that would be on the right side of 1. No, excuse me, the left side of 1. So panel 6 at the bottom, that's where your postage goes. You need to give 5/8 of an inch. So what's 5/8 of an inch? Always do this, and then I bring in a guide. Nothing can go beyond this line. Okay, have you guys gotten a piece of mail and there's a foil sticker at the bottom and has barcode on it? That's because it couldn't it wasn't, there was something printed there where they couldn't print their barcode. Okay? They'll fine you for that too. Okay? And that's how you do a 3-panel brochure with a die cut. Any questions? Are you guys up?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Are you sure?